It's Salsa started. Yay, we're live. Okay. Hey everyone, and welcome to Nerd Chat this week. Zach is having technical difficulties yet again. Zach, I hate your internet connection, but welcome to our 9th show this year for Nerd Chat. Almost to 10. We're almost to double digits. I'm so excited. With us tonight, we have Colby again from Season 3 of King of the Nerds. He has to be my favorite nerd now because he comes on like every week, and I just love that. So,
like it's a Friday night, and I didn't have any other plans, and you keep inviting me, so you guys are awesome. So,
well, we're always happy to have you. I think you know that by now.
oh, I would hope so.
I was very happy when Zach told me that Christina finally emailed us and we could officially have you on the show. I was like, oh God, I have to tell him that like immediately.
They really don't care at this point. So
that's great.
The entirety of the show has been aired.
What are you gonna spoiler?
Yeah, Jonathan won, and I wasn't too happy about it.
Yeah.
Totally spoiler. All right.
But it was nice to see you in Nerdvana at the end. That was really awesome. That everybody gets to come back. I always forget about that for some reason, that you all come back at the end. And I'm always surprised when you guys just pop up. I'm always like, oh, hey, they're back. Oh, wait, it's the finale. Yeah, this is supposed to happen.
Yeah, I wasn't gone for too long, so.
Right.
No worries.
Did they fly you home, or did they keep you there, or?
So, of course, I went home in the night. So, the next day, you pack up at the end of the night, pack up your stuff, head out of Nirvana, and they kept me around because it would be too expensive to fly me home and then fly me back. So I just kind of hung out in LA, and then came back not the next day, but the day after. So yeah, I wasn't gone for too long.
Yeah, that's cool. Did they let you do whatever you wanted when you were finally out?
Not entirely. So I was very much on I won't say lock and key, but I had to consistently tell people where I was. So it's at every X amount of hours, you need to call somebody and tell them where you are. Seriously, what was I gonna do? Yeah.
You needed a babysitter. That's cute.
I go to Val. Yeah. So yes, I was a 30-year-old man with a babysitter, effectively.
Now, did they keep all of you guys at the same place? You guys, kind of hang out while you waited for the rest of the show to finish up? Uh-oh.
Did he freeze? Oh no, he froze. I'm sure he'll be back. I think everybody's having some issues tonight with Google or internet or something, but I'm sure he'll be back. But it's good to see you, Eve. I haven't seen you in a week.
All right.
He came back. Yay.
Yeah, pretty dodgy internet connection. So.
Oh no.
All right. Did you guys hear the last thing I said then about
I heard 30-year-old babysitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So since I went out pretty late in the game, they didn't send me home, but they sent other people who went out earlier home. So that worked.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't know at what point they would keep you or they would send you home, or if they just send everybody home and then you'd have to turn around and come back, because I know what happened to Chris Jackson last year. So.
I think I went out the same time as Chris, so they just kept him around, right?
No, they sent him home and it was horrible, and then he had to come back the next day. Yeah. Yeah, it was something really ridiculous like that. They spent way too much money for no reason.
All right, well, I'm glad they learned.
Well, yeah.
Put him up in a hotel and keep tabs on him rather than have him pack up all his stuff, go home, come back in one day.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
Right. Did you notice that they had more prize giveaways last season than this season? Because it kind of seemed like that. It seemed like Season 1 and Season 2 got more stuff than you guys got.
I mean, I can understand being pressed for time and being pressed for budget, and yeah, like the stuff that people got to experience and have in the first 2 seasons was of better quality. So, like the thing about being on Team Smash was that, well, we didn't win very much, and what we did won, like, it wasn't of great use to me. So it's like, you have $250 in costumes, and as soon as that episode airs, I call up my brother. It's like, hey, you know what you have? You have $250 to go spend on my nieces. Enjoy, because there's
But that's so sweet.
It was sweet, but it was such a hand-me-down gift because there's nothing that I could do with it.
Right.
So
I don't know what I would do with $250 worth of costumes either. I don't know.
Oh, pass it over, and I'll take the nieces with me.
Right.
Free babysitting.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I would be like, can I trade this in for like a year of Magic Castle passes or something? Can I take a different prize that I'll actually use? You know. But that's just me being Sheldon. So.
Well, and they didn't do a big. There really wasn't a big Radio Shack one this time.
Yeah, there was no like Radio Shack TARDIS. The TARDIS looked like it was pushed off into the corner this time.
It was pushed off in the corner. So, really, when we first got into Nirvana and we looked at it, all right, well, it's there, and it's off in a corner next to the main room, and it was never really referenced again. So, yeah. And plus, Radio Shack went belly up, so of course they're not going to sponsor us now.
Yeah, I forgot they went bankrupt. Yeah, I totally forgot.
Right, that's a great point.
So.
Yeah, but I hope they get another sponsor like Radio Shack or something like that that'll bring in some cool stuff. Because the Radio Shack TARDIS was awesome. Because the whole console looked like the TARDIS, where the computers were set up, and that they took time and effort into that, and I really appreciated that. But of course, your like Batcave that you guys had was really cool too.
Yeah, I mean, it had its moments. So.
Did anybody like go hide out in there get away from people or?
No, I mean, there were plenty of places. I mean, it was really, like, the house only has, 5 rooms in it, really. So, to get away, you either, you went back to your team's hangout, or you went in the back of the game room, or into the, into the war room, so to speak. So, that was pretty much it. Like, those are the places you can go.
Yeah, it seems much bigger when they show it than it probably actually is.
It's a lot more cramped. You can basically, like, oh yeah, we have a tour of Nirvana. Nope, the tour of Nirvana took about 2 minutes.
Yeah, it looks like you guys are like running wild through this whole big, huge mansion, and it's not.
And it's like, hey, here's this room, and then there's a hallway, and another hallway, and 2 rooms at the end of those hallways. Good luck. What was sleeping in the pods like? I saw like it looked like Thomas was sleeping under one in the last night, and Todd looked like he was always on the floor. Yeah, like Todd's a big fella, so like he really wasn't able to get comfortable like in those at any time. So it was kind of meh. So, and I guess the thing about it is that all right. So as far as, like, the pods, well, like, okay, I have a feeling that, because I was worried about getting in trouble, because I will say that we weren't always in them. So, I don't know exactly the premises of my NDA and how much detail I get to go into, but I don't want to get in trouble again. So, like, we didn't always
get in trouble.
Yeah.
You can say pass to a question. You can totally just say pass, and we'll play Colby with squares.
Yeah.
We need James here so we can play Colby with squares some night. We really do. I'd love to see that in action.
That was amazing. Like, he's a really good trivia host. Like, I'd gladly go to, one that he'd host, even if that meant setting foot in Oakland. But no, that was a great night, and really hope that this keeps going, and we get to do something like that with a new round of nerds or whatever happens.
Yeah.
Because people are like, maybe do an all-star show. It's like most all-star shows don't happen 3 seasons in, but
there's enough of you guys that you could totally do an all-star show and it would work though.
That is true. So you only need 1 out of 3.
Right.
you know, it would be less competition if they did it next season. But
Yeah.
we'll see what sort of magic Curtis can pull to keep the show alive, because I think we did really well. You
Your
know,
ratings were awesome. They
yeah,
were.
being in the Friday night death slot, and I will say, like, I definitely, you know, in the house when like we got all meta, I was like, what do you think? How do you think we're going to come across? It's just like I'm feeling third season, last season. I'm glad I got in, but
Right.
yeah, you know, I think it was entertaining, and I think the dynamic that was created, it was, you know, it was good television for the most part. And I guess best of all, like, I was at the center of it for a lot of it, and you know, that was great, because I really thought I'd come in and I'd be the complete jerk, and because, you know, the producers, like, when they saw me and they saw me on Jeopardy, and they just like, oh, this guy's full of himself. We really haven't had like the completely cocky nerd on here before. I mean, to that extent. So let's see what happens. And then I didn't do that at all. I wound up on the outs. And like, wouldn't you know it? Like, the world of nerds like identifies more with being on the outs, and like, it really worked out for me. So
Yeah. Yeah, you really, I mean, from watching it over now, you really like are like a ghost for the first like 3 episodes. We really don't see anything of you or get to know you really until later, which is, you know, which is I guess great, and because it's a total advantage of okay, I'm going to stay out of everybody's stuff and then emerge and triumph, which was kind of awesome. So.
yeah, I mean, that's totally how I felt, because like the reason why I was a ghost in that first episode is like, this is an engineering challenge. I am just absolutely awful with my hands. I'm gonna go off in a corner and I'll do what people tell me to do. And I think that my main contribution to the show was definitely like the grin on my face / surprise when they sent in Jacob instead of me, and you know, so transparent how happy I was that it wasn't me versus how not sad I felt that it was Jacob. Like, I
Right.
definitely like, and then House Hulu, you choose Jacob, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, bro. Like,
Right.
just like, no, like, I'm not sorry, because if I had been thrown into that challenge, I would have been like the first boot, and that would have been awful. So,
Right. Me
But it
too.
would have been fun.
wait, what?
It would have been fun though, just the rah.
Oh
Snatch.
man, like, it was 90 degrees outside. Like, I would have probably, my destruction probably would have been caused by fainting over a certain portion of the city. That
Stroke. Yeah.
I felt, you know, I will say, like, I was pretty much on a high because it was not me, and that was pretty much the only time where it wasn't me. And at least those guys are, you know, relatively thin, so they're not gonna die. Like, I would have been, like, I was in awful shape. I think about the after the Monty Python, you know, the Monty Python nerd off, where I'm on the sidelines, but they've got me in, you know, the Tim the Enchanter outfit, and there's like this big wool coat, and I got to put on this fake beard, and I'm in awful shape. Like, I am not. I'm in full diva mode about, like, oh my god, I won. Why? Like, I feel like I'm being punished anyway. To imagine, like, even, and they distinctly said, all right, you got to put on this wool overcoat. Like, okay, well, it's really hot outside, and you need to wear like long sleeves, and you know, pants, because it's going to be itchy. I'm like, really, this is how this is gonna work.
Oh, great. Yeah. I would have passed out.
Then I've got Godzilla outfit.
Yeah. We have questions from the YouTube. From Zach. Do you wish the winning team had gone on a trip somewhere?
I mean, I would have, because I am definitely all about experiences over stuff. So, I would have loved to have met the cast of Revenge of the Nerds, or Bill Nye, or just hang out, because I would have found that more valuable than just about any prize that was, you know, any sort of any sort of physical prize that was offered over the course of the show. So.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of strange that they didn't have anything like that for you like they did in the last couple seasons, and then there was no debate this season, which I finally realized. I was like, that was totally missing, and I was like, oh man, Colby's gonna like kick ass in the debate. I just knew you would. You would just plow through everybody, and there was no debate.
As much as I dislike debate, and the producers asked me like, oh, what do you think the next challenge is going to be? It's like, well, if it's debate, at least I'll be ready for that. I'll feel, that I'll have a lot to contribute because, and they mentioned that, well, I might not like it personally, but I feel like I'll contribute. It's like, why wouldn't you like it personally? Well, I'm the coach of one of the academic teams at the high school I work at, and basically the speech and debate coach just steals smart kids out from under me on a regular basis. I was like, you know what? I don't like debate for that reason. And yeah, I kind of wish it was there, but I guess there really isn't too much to do about it. It's like, all right, it's a debate. We research, and then we talk, and then if you're Jack, you just hope everything works out despite you knowing nothing about the subject.
Yeah.
And I guess what I don't like is, it's a debate, so it's subjectivity, and a lot of debating consists of, like, tactics that human beings who normally should talk to one another should not use, and I don't think that I could, really go with that just for the sake of winning.
Right.
So, I mean, I wished it were there instead of that freaking, CSI nerd off, because I would have actually had some use there.
Yeah.
Or my team would have been absolute garbage. So, I mean, it is what it is, and I don't know if they'll bring it back because, there's only so much you can do with it.
Right.
What topic can you bring up that's universal, or universal in terms of nerdiness, or everybody knows a little bit about this subject, and interesting enough when it comes to a debate? And there really aren't that many, I don't think.
Right. And that's not going to start some huge nerd debate online, I guess.
Yeah, it's just like, what's better, Star Wars or Star Trek? It's like, well, really? That was one of the questions that got asked last year. I'm like,
How about Little Caesars and Dominoes?
Yeah, like the thing about Little Caesars and Dominoes, well, you're both choosing, one step up from heated up floor tiles. So
right.
There's only so much argument you're going to have about that.
Right.
It's like Star Wars or Star Trek. It's like, well, like, what do you like as an individual? Because they're both like, sci-fi in a way, but they're not, it's really apples and oranges. And have a debate about it just seems like a bit of a waste of your time as a contestant and the viewer's time, as an audience.
Yeah. I'm sorry, with the Star Wars, the Star Trek, I know it was on the form to sign up for the season. And I remember that, and I just wrote Doctor Who in big letters. I went to the next section.
Oh, yeah. I went with BSG myself because that was the only one that I went with BSG because that was the only sci-fi series recently that I've seen in its entirety. So I mean, I love TNG. So TNG was, very much instrumental in my childhood nerddom. But it's a great show, and in many ways it's superior to in many ways superior to the original. But to have a debate about, well, who'd win, Millennium Falcon versus the Enterprise, and somebody just, what is it? I'm pretty sure Kayla did this. Just explain that the Enterprise was, a few orders of magnitude, like, larger than the Millennium Falcon, and could clearly target, like, Millennium. Like, if you thought it through, it was such an easy debate for one side versus the other, depending on what the question was asking, and then depending on how judges felt about it, like some of that gets chucked out the window. So, it's like the Millennium Falcon. The Millennium Falcon is about the size of like 2 shuttlecraft. Like, really shouldn't really come, or like what's worse, the Empire or the Borg. Well, I think that's a pretty safe conclusion to come with that. The Borg are more deadly than the Empire. It's just like, the Empire will at least attempt to keep some people alive, not so much with the Borg. So
yeah. Oh, I never really watched Star Trek growing up. I watched a little bit of Next Gen. I remember that because of Will Wheaton. But like,
See,
what
Will Wheaton should not be your
did you have a
dog.
crush on Will Wheaton?
This- so it is
But
what it is.
yeah, I never really watched Star Trek, and people tell me all the time that I'm not a true nerd because I never watched Star Trek, and I was like, but I've watched Doctor Who since I was 10, so you know,
There's just some
we all
aspects
have
of
our
it
own thing.
aren't for everybody. Like, a really close friend of mine said, like, let's watch Doctor Who, and I saw whatever episode when it's just when like basically he pulls out a sonic screwdriver and it does whatever he wants whatever he wants it to do, and he goes to whatever time that he needs to go to, and amazingly, like stuff is happening at whatever time he's going to. I think I saw no. Like I saw one, I think it was about the Cybermen, and the Cybermen were supposed to be ghosts, like like loved ones. It's just like yes, and they've elected a ghost MP for Leeds. I'm like, all right then, and like it just wasn't something that I could get into.
I
So.
think you saw Dark Water, which was the most recent one. And if you watch that, yeah, it's not going to make any sense to you because you're like in the middle of this big, huge thing with the Cybermen, and
Yeah,
you don't know what's going on.
that's
Yeah,
the thing, and it takes a while to develop, and most shows, like, I just don't give that much time to.
yeah,
Like, PSG, they chucked you right into what was going on immediately. It was a mini-series,
yeah.
and the first episode consists of being repeatedly attacked by Cylons, so it's just like, okay, you either like this show or you don't.
Right, yeah. Oh, I love BSG. BSG was amazing. I watched the original on TV. So.
See, yeah, like I had friends that were so into it that they watched the original series and they saw 1980.
Yeah.
And like,
Well, living through it was worse than just seeing it on TV. So.
oh goodness. But I mean, they brought up 1980, and it's just basically like how much cocaine had to go into those writing sessions to make that a possibility. Because
in the 80s for you. So.
yeah. It's like Galactica 1980. It's just like, so they're on our Earth and they have superpowers and whatnot. Like, okay, whatever.
So I have another question from Zach.
Okay.
How much of the boat challenge did you help with? And he says, I don't remember seeing that much footage of you. So.
Yeah, like I didn't do a whole lot, so it was very much like, hey Ori, like go work on this. So I worked on the oars with Ori, and then the main boat design was Jonathan's, and that was very much, Colby, do this thing. All right, we need you to, we'll seal it with wood glue because I don't think that wood glue is water soluble. I believe Heather disagreed, and we just followed Jonathan anyway, and then watched our boats, completely fall apart soon enough. I basically did what was asked of me, and they said, okay, well, one of us has to be the spotter. Well, it'll be the largest person who has the least swimming skills, so that was obvious. And so I knew I didn't have to get in the boat, so I just did what was asked of me until then. So, and the thing about the show is, well, clearly for these confessionals, they would have to take away one of us at, any time, and so we're already down. I mean, so for the boat challenge, so you'd go down to 4, so there'd be 4 people in the room at one time, or sometimes 3. And yeah, I didn't do anything out of the ordinary. I didn't come up with any of the designs. I followed, Ori on creating the oars that were too tiny and fell apart immediately. So I did not take the L on that. I just followed instructions.
Yeah, he did get screamed at pretty well by Heather on that one.
Yeah, I was kind of glad that I didn't have to get into a boat because I figured that's what was going to happen. And watching the oars come apart immediately, and especially seeing, House Hulavu's, basically like, oh, this doesn't look like a boat, but it probably floats and it's probably aerodynamic, and they know what they're doing. And it's just like, please let the math be like hard enough that only Jonathan can do it, or not hard at all so that I can do it. And that Ben and Caitlin can. And luckily it fell into the second category.
Right. Yeah, that was quick. Really quick. That was amazing. You guys were done with that, like, instantaneously. You just took over and took it. Like, nope, I got this.
Yeah, and like especially I enjoyed like Jonathan's like, we have to do permutations, like permutations of like, permutations of 6 numbers. Like, no, there has to be some sort of pattern. Then Heather like, maybe the letters mean something. Because I remember I looked at the first one, and seriously, and as far as easy, like the first one, I think the N, the answer was 3. You know why it was 3? It was basically they showed a circle with the diameter. A circle with the diameter of 1. And they said, what's the circumference of this circle rounded to the nearest whole number? It's like, they just asked me to round pi to the nearest number?
Right.
I was like, 3. Like, okay. Yeah. And then the only one, there were 2 that were tough that actually involved geometry. So there were like 2 sides. It was basically an isosceles triangle. So one side of this triangle is this, or one side of the isosceles triangle is, the other side has to be the same thing. And then, oh my goodness, parallelograms, where I was like, I know how this works. It's a rectangle that got pushed over. And I distinctly remember talking to Caitlin afterwards. Like, so how were you able to do that? I was like, well, before I taught history, I tutored math for 5 years. But like, I didn't tell anybody that. So yeah, me, like, that was like the one secret skill that I don't think I let out.
Yeah, I know that, I can't remember who asked you, but somebody asked you if you wanted to keep being on Jeopardy secret or not. Then that first episode.
You're right. I wanted to, and then I walk in and I see my caricature behind a Jeopardy podium with 375 grand, and I'm just like,
Thanks.
wait, what?
You were all thanks, right?
I was just like, thanks, guys. He said, we're going to draw a caricature of you. So, like, they took a picture of me before I was on the show. And it's just like, okay. And then I'm behind a Jeopardy podium with that amount of money. It's like, well, good luck with keeping that secret. So, yeah. I definitely had in mind. It's like, well, I'll see how this goes. And they ask my background. It's like, I teach world history, and I come up with, interesting lessons, and, that's what I was all about. And then I walk in, I see that. It's like, well, that's out the window. So...
Yeah, I was trying to think of how I could, if I went on something like that, how I could keep being a magician secret, because if you hear it, you're always going to be like, oh, well, you're going to try to trick me or fool me, and I can't believe what you say because of misdirection and deception. And so I'm like, great, I have to keep that secret. I'm going to be booted out the first one, Nope, can't trust the magician, get her out. Or at least that's how I think of it.
So Colby, how much did you guys, because they didn't really show much of just the casual interaction among you guys.
Yeah.
Like, how much did you guys actually get to know each other? You know how, like last year, Zach kind of let out the secret about the chemistry background on somebody, and, stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
Was there more that just didn't get shown because it just seemed like
I would say that they get to know each other. So the part where, Kate is like, everybody's just like chatter, 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 chatter. So that was really the only time I think that, other than at, the kitchen table, where we each sat around and talked about, like, everybody's background. Everything else was done, as far as the time that we had to hang out, like, that came and went. I would say that we never had more than like an hour and a half to 2 hours to ourselves to really interact. But, that was okay. Like, I thought that and the way that I thought I'd get to know people is that I love board games. Like, they brought all these board games. Like, sure, we'll have like 3 hours just to ourselves. Like, there's only so much, shooting, like, in a day or two that they're going to have for a 44-minute episode. And it's like, no, like, yeah, there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes than you'd think. So.
Right. Yeah, I kind of figured that they shoot you 24/7 basically, and then they just pick what they want.
So yeah, they were definitely. Yeah, I was definitely. You're under a camera from pretty much the beginning of the day until you go to sleep. So. Yeah, I thought that. Wait, what?
Cameras in the rooms, right? In your sleep rooms?
Well, not in the sleeping room, like they say, like, well, all right, everybody goes, all right, we're leaving, everybody go night, say what you need to say to them at the end, and then, they'll leave, like, they didn't put cameras. It's not Big Brother, so they don't show us freaking sleeping.
Right.
So, but they do so like this is everybody. It's lights out, so we'll have some guys in the room, then we'll leave in a little while thereafter.
It
So
was like you guys were sleeping in a submarine. That's how submarine bunks sound. Just
yeah, that's definitely what it felt like. But it's Team Smash, so I mean there were just fewer and fewer and fewer people as the game progressed until it no longer mattered.
Yeah. Wow. There's so much stuff like just to know about Nerdvana. Like, would they let you guys outside, or were you guys like had to be escorted everywhere? I mean,
Yeah, like you're under somebody's you're under somebody's care the entire time. So
Right.
I remember saying like my friend, a friend of mine that's really into Jeopardy. And I said, oh, yeah, like maybe, if you finish early on a night, you'll get to go out. There's a really, really well-known trivia bar in Santa Monica. It's like, maybe you'll go out there because a lot of Jeopardy alums, people who live in Southern California, go out and they play trivia. And it's like, maybe you'll get a chance to go out there. I was like, yeah, no, that won't be happening. Like, there's no way they'll let me go, like,
Anyway.
5 hours without radio contact, without anybody knowing where I was. So.
Right. Yeah, I kind of figured once, like, you get there and they pick you, and you go right into it. There is no break. They
Yeah,
figure you out, they interview you, and you just go.
I mean, yeah, they picked me the day before, and they're like, all right, we're gonna do a promo, and then we're shooting the next day. So.
and then how long was the shoot? The total time?
The total time we were there for, I believe, 16 days. So it started on. No. Let's see. So we got there on I think we got there on a Thursday. They walked us through all of the casting process over. So Friday and Saturday. Sunday they made their decision. Monday we started the shoot, and then we finished the following Sunday. So
wow.
counting the Saturday stuff that we had to do shooting, 16 days total.
Wow.
Oh wow! I thought it was. So you're just like.
Yeah, everything it was a really, really fast shoot and a really fast turnaround, and so yeah.
Yeah, because they make you seem like you have like a day between challenges and all this time, but it's really not. It's like wake up, challenge the next day, somebody goes home every single day.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it worked. So
It's season 4.
Nerd one day, Nerd Off day 2, and sometimes those blended together because there'd be days where we had to do both at the same time. So
yeah, that's crazy. So did you you had the group competition and then a break, right, to decide?
yeah.
Like, how long was that break before they sent you into the throne room?
So basically, you would have the Nerd War, and that would be one day. And then you go back to the house and you decompress, and then you politic. And then the next morning you'd politic, and then you choose. Then Nerd Off happens. You choose, go to the throne room. Nerd Off happens. Go back, and then try to figure out what's going to happen the next day.
Wow, it's crazy.
Yeah, I believe you. Especially, I got sent. I was in that throne room. And under the gun, all but really, under the gun every time except the times where Team Smash won. So.
Yeah, it was crazy how they singled you out every single time, and I didn't think that was too fair, and I know I voiced my opinion about that on Twitter several times. So, and I think I told you I yelled at Ben at one point for the way he treated you. So
here's the thing. So Ben's team was superior, and I swear, geez, if you give me so what would happen if you and Caitlin were on the same team? If Caitlin and I were on the same team, we would have gone 6-0. 5-1 at the worst. And it's just
right.
Well, I had to deal with what I had. And Caitlin very much put that team on her back, not saying that not everybody else on House who worked harder, but they were clearly the superior team. And Jonathan weaseled his way out of it. And out of dealing with the fact that we kind of sucked. So, yeah, they singled me out because they knew if this got to trivia, which is what the next to last challenge is supposed to be. I'd destroy them, and So they kept coming at me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
like,
if you made it to the Final Four, there would have been no stopping you.
yeah, I mean, I know that, but so did they, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The
Well,
history
I had to back.
one. It's like, oh my gosh, he's gonna crush him.
Yeah, and so people were afraid, and once again, people relied on groups to get there. I guess in the end, like what got me is that there are dominant players and there are tag-alongs, and quite a few of you were okay with being tag-alongs, and it showed.
Yeah.
Fan favorites aren't tag-alongs. So,
Yeah. I mean, it really does show. I mean, throughout all the seasons, how people like fall into those groups, though, and it's every season though that they fall into those groups, and we see people that really work their butt off, like you and Caitlin did, and then you have people that don't work their butt off like others. So, but I mean, that's life, right? You can't really control what somebody else is gonna do.
So. Caitlin and I think we distinguished ourselves as the fiercest competitors, and we weren't into really playing a social game. And I think we stayed committed to that and being committed to how we were. So like the way I come across is the way I am 100% of the time. The way Caitlin comes across is the way Caitlin is 100% of the time. So we weren't really into politicking. We weren't really into because there are aspects of nerd culture that we just don't care about. So that moment when they said, "Oh yeah, Colby, we want to involve you in Star Wars, a Star Wars improv." I was like, that sounds lame. I'm already angry at you, and you propose something that sounds lame. So I'm just gonna chill. I'm just gonna chill over here, and I'd rather be alone than do something I dislike just to hang out with people who are putting me on the outs.
Right. Oh, I totally feel you. I would have gone off in my own little corner and did my own thing, or been doing magic in the background the entire time, away from people.
And I just think that I guess part of being a nerd in general is well, you don't always need a group of people that are into what you are. You can go out and have fun on your own, and I'm definitely that kind of person. And when they sat down and they did the after school special with me, so Amanda didn't talk to me at all. I believe that, in my heart of hearts, I believe that, Rochelle and Caitlin were very upfront and very honest about how they felt and, tried to make a difference. And, really, I wasn't hearing anything that Ben or Jonathan had to say.
Yeah.
So, or Lily for that matter.
Well, yeah, after they threw you under the bus like they did, I wouldn't talk to them either, so.
So, it's hey, you know what, come hang out with us. It's what you guys are doing is lame, so no. How we do something that I enjoy? Well, there isn't a whole lot of overlap there.
Right.
I'm glad I sat down and I played a freaking board game with Caitlin, and that was great. So, that was what I like to do to take the edge off. So.
Well, especially right after. I mean, I'd be thinking, leave me alone, go away for,
Yeah,
that's exactly you can talk to me right after.
And so that's just where I was right now, and a lot of people have been in that situation, and they're able to really, identify with what I was going through, and that's fine.
Yeah. Well, I definitely sided with you on how they were treating you, and that was wrong. And I particularly did not approve of the Secret Six, and don't think that the producers should have allowed the Secret Six to happen.
They sat there and they broke the game, and just look, they're dragging. You don't distinguish yourself by just being part of an alliance unless you're the leader, and I guess the thing that always fell apart, and the thing I'll never get, it's all right, our objective is to get to the end. So what we can do is, but getting to the end, and when Heather pretty much offered herself up, or rather forfeited the right to choose, who was going in, when they voted for me because they knew I was going in.
Yeah.
And I was well, you just put yourself in there. You could have completely avoided this, because gladly, if, Heather said, we're voting for Jonathan, all right, you're going up against Jonathan, I would have said fine. I would have accepted my fate, and if Jonathan had beaten me in that nerd off, I would have accepted that. But the fact that it changed from we're just trying to get to the end versus we're trying to get out Colby, because that seemed to be the sole strategy in play for that became the primary strategy versus getting to the end. And like I swear to God, like I just wish that I didn't have to deal with that team. God, we're just so awful. So
I was really hoping that with Robert and Bob Curtis picking the teams, that they would have come in at some point in the middle and been like, okay, we're going to jumble you all up now and make different teams. I thought that would have been really cool and put a different twist on it, you know.
It was to a point that I wish we had tanked as hard as like Midas Touch attacks, so that under the slightest circumstances they would just send somebody else off from that. Like we would be so depleted that they would have sent somebody over, and I would have taken. I mean, you know, with my luck, you know, I would have wound up with, you know, Thomas or Todd or somebody that, you know, really didn't distinguish themselves, like good people. But it's just like, all right, we did enough to go ahead and really make it to the final because we won 2 nerd-offs, you know, in a row at the beginning. So even if we lost all of them, there wasn't a chance to really jumble up the teams. And really, I think those 4, like, they really gelled, and they did better than we did. And, you know, we lost that nerd anthem because I was, you know, pretty much riding solo on that one, and it wasn't good enough.
I thought it was awesome. Moby can suck it. That was awesome. I did not expect you to come out rapping at all, and that completely like shocked me, and I loved it. And the lyrics were amazing.
Well, that's what I thought. Like, most of it's a train wreck because, like, you don't write good songs unless you're, you know, freaking John Lennon, and you don't write great songs in, like, 2 hours. Right. So, like, I thought I did enough to get by. I thought we had enough jokes. I thought, you know, like, granted, the beats and the dancing, I was just like, and it very much felt like the how cosplay went. That there are some things that I know they're better at, and I'm just going to take the L on that. I'm not really going to put my best foot forward. I'm going to focus on what we're good at and hope that it gets us over. And with that group and that particular group, with that particular group of judges and how it came across, like, okay, we're going to lose. And, you know, watching Moby be Moby and criticize Ori for lyrics that I wrote, and while I'm quiet because I don't know, if I had gone second, if Team Smash had gone second, and I had seen House Hoover and I felt that we were going to lose, then I would not have cared. I would have just, you know, freaking cracked back at Moby. But we went first. I had no idea what they had planned at the other end and whether it was going to be significantly better than ours or catchier. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to shut up. I'm just going to hope that this goes okay and hope they keep just, you know, and just try not to insult the judge because I know that's not going to help. Right. This guy's out trying to establish his nerd cred on, like, and, you know, he's going to fail miserably at it in retrospect, but, you know, I didn't feel the need to go at the guy, you know, despite him just, like, coming at my team very hard. So, yeah.
Yeah, he came at you guys really hard and then didn't really do the same thing for the other team. I didn't think that was very fair. Yeah.
Well, I think that he, like, at that point, so he was there, he knew what he had to do. And it's like, well, I can go into another tirade about how you're not really nerds because you didn't have a whole bunch of scientific references that I will fail to understand. Like, we don't live in a Newtonian mechanical world. Yes, you do. Like, you were in a car, and you probably went across a bridge, and those were probably all designed using Newtonian, using ideas of Newtonian mechanics and physics. But, you know, you're...
I would have totally called Moby out and said that to him.
I wasn't thinking that at the time, but it's just like,
Steve knows me too well. They would have had to bleep out a whole bunch of stuff.
And, and especially, I took offense. It was like, nerds create pop culture, and like, it was one of those words, like those comebacks that I had that came way too late. And I come back in, and it's like, you know what? Like, nerds create pop culture. Like, buddy, I own the album Play. You know what the album Play is? The album Play is about 75% samples of Negro spirituals. So really, about your creating pop culture, like you can just bugger off with that, because certainly you take something old and you put some spin on it, and you make art. And it's like, I like the guy's music, but I think he's a freaking jerk. So.
Well, the thing was, it's not like you were. I mean, no one said you have to put into this exactly what you've done to prove.
Right.
I own 500 pops, and I've, there were examples.
Yeah. You shouldn't have to prove yourself to the movie.
So, all in all, it's just like, well, all right, we walk into that, we're going to lose. All right, we'll come back. Let's see what happens next time. And it's a friggin' trivia challenge, which we lose by the, pretty narrow margin. And it's just, well, I wish we could have done better. And I think about like that first, round where it's me on the buzzer versus Ben on the buzzer. And we had the same score, but I guarantee you, I finished a lot more quickly than he did. And the only reason I didn't get 2 of them is that Jonathan managed to forget the rules about, saying one word at a time. So it's like, so he says, I mean, it's not on the show, but, he sees, like, Urkel, and he says, like, Jaleel White. It's just like, buzzer goes off. It's like, yep, that's 2 words, man. And then it happened again. I'm like, buddy, that's, that when they show that scene where I'm like, freaking, like, twirling my arms around, like, getting all angry, like, that was when that happened. Like,
I was wondering why you were getting all frustrated.
Yeah, that was really frustrating. That he forgot the rules twice. And granted, we wouldn't have won even if that had happened. But really simple stuff, and like not being able to draw a bow tie apparently. So.
But you did Anne Rice. You got Anne Rice. That was
you did get Anne Rice. That was awesome.
Yeah, and like once again, other things that got deleted. So. I don't know what Jonathan says. No, Jonathan says vampire, and then Heather says diaries, and I'm like, who the heck wrote the Vampire Diaries? And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna keep going down the row until somebody gives me something I can use, and then Amanda says like Lestat. It's like that's not in the Vampire Diaries, and then it says Lestat, and then I think that Rochelle Lefebvre says, like, Louis. It's like, oh, so this is the Vampire Chronicles. Like,
not diaries.
This is completely different, Heather. Like, don't give me wrong information, please.
Right.
And I definitely felt that this is my wheelhouse, and if I lose, then I'm on the chopping block, so I've got really intense about it. And yeah, and also hearing like that Weasel Jones was like, chill out, it's just a game. You know what? I can't weasel out of this like you can. So it's a game to you, but it's my life in this competition.
Right.
If I don't do my best. So you can putz around and make all sorts of mistakes, but I couldn't.
Yeah. So we have some more questions from the chat.
Right.
This one's from Daniel. Are there any changes that you would like to see in the next season of King of the Nerds, and any advice for people who want to be on the show?
I would say, so as far as changes, let's see. I don't know if I can really speak to, any of the production, because they did what they were able to do with a limited amount of time, and I think they did very well with, limited production schedule, so I can't really fault them on that. I do wish that, the prizes were more about experiences rather than, like, stuff, because, like, I'm just saying, like, I'll just be frank, like, I have won a lot of money, so I could spend money on stuff like those board games. I've spent money on a lot of those board games, and it's not that difficult for me to get. It's like, oh, like, I want to feel that I had an experience that I couldn't get somewhere else. As far as getting on the show, number one is being yourself, and generally, if you're awesome, that's what's going to shine through. Like, there are archetypes, so they don't want 12 of the same kind of people on the show. And if you're not that person, like, don't take it as any sort of knock. Like, I tried out for season 2 after they found me, and I'm supposed to be the famous guy, and they didn't take me for season 2. They took me for season 3, which is really amazing because season 2 would have been, I don't think that would have been a good fit for me, all things considered. But as far as getting on the show, number one, be yourself. Bring something that, you know, is unexpected. Do something that you know that very few people do. So I looked out, it's like, I'm a freaking game show champion, and like I'm a cocky bastard, and you know that's really what drew them to what I was able to do. So, you know, Jonathan, you know, as much as I might not like him personally, he had a story that, you know, most other people didn't have. It mentioned that he was in a rock band that played Rock Band as a performance, and like, that's something I'm, you know, granted, he and whoever else was in that group, I've never heard of anybody else doing that, like doing performances of Rock Band as a rock band. It's like, okay, well, that's interesting. And I think that that backstory, you know, is good. Like so even Lily is a cosplayer. There are thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands even maybe of cosplayers. Something about her backstory alerted them to, hey, this person stands out.
Right. Yeah, they really look and see what you do during the year too, not just when King of the Nerds is on. They wanna see you being like active in your community and doing stuff, right?
Yeah, and like even my backstory is like, well, I'm a high school teacher, and when people, you know, got on me about being on the show, and this is where, you know, the idea that I had a whole bunch of, you know, like I don't have a family of my own. So, you know, really, like, the kids are, you know, I live vicariously through them and knowing how much they supported me for being on the show, and that's what was in my video, and my video was edited by the president of the audiovisual club at the school. So it's just like, hey, I was able to call in this favor because I have a good relationship with kids, and I was an older guy, so I'm the, you know, Virgil, slightly older than me, you know, chronologically, but, you know, as far as when the show was taped, I'm by far the oldest person to have been on the show. So there were elements where I was like, you know, this kind of cranky old guy, and like in other cases where I was like the wise grandpa, like, look, you need to settle down, like, you know, Thomas,
Right.
Settle down, kid. Todd, like, let me try to talk you down through this. And to be in that role, well, that's something that you didn't really see for the, you know, the most part. Like, I'm just like, I'm supposed to be the old wise man. And then, you know, I'm sitting there moping around like I'm a freshman in high school, like, by the end of it. And that makes for great television. And just think about what you're able to offer. Like, don't go out of your way to, like, prove your nerd cred. You are who you are.
Yeah.
And just be very confident in expressing that. So, you know, I just think about the interviews that I did on Jeopardy, like, you know, those little blurbs with Alex. And I think that no matter what I talked about, like, I came across as me, that this is from the heart, and, you know, as awkward as it may have been, you know you're getting Colby Burnett 100% every single time that, you know, he's on a camera, every time that you talk to him. So that means a lot.
Yeah. And your true self really does come out through the camera. It really does. And if you're nervous about making a video, practice beforehand. Just sit on a Google Hangout like we're doing with your friends or something if you're camera shy. I mean, there's so many things that you could do to make your videos better with just a little bit of help. And you know, we have our Nerd Chat group, which you're more than welcome to post in and ask questions. And we'll try to help you the best we can. I mean, I know Eve and I will. So
trust me, I'll try to chime in as much as I can. But granted, you know, my situation is different than everybody else's because, well, I've been on TV before, and I was, you know, basically I was the celebrity, you know, side man here, and I got about as far as the celebrity tends to get on a show like this. I even talked about it with Amanda because Amanda's a big Survivor fan, and I was too. I didn't watch the last season that much, but before then, it's just like, yeah, you know what? They brought in Cliff Robinson. Like, Cliff Robinson isn't a superstar. Cliff Robinson is a NBA All-Star from, like, the mid-'90s who just, like, had time on his hands, and that's how I felt.
yeah.
So I guess, you know, my position is a little bit different coming into it, but I think if you ask anybody else how they got on the show, they were very confident about who they were, and they offered something that you wouldn't see elsewhere.
Yeah. Be yourself. Be yourself. Be yourself. I mean, what was Jacob's big speech? It doesn't matter what you're passionate about. It could be about candles. It doesn't matter. Just be passionate about it. Be yourself.
And I think that passion that I had, and that pretty much everybody had, it shows through. Don't just say, oh, well, you know what? I really like Star Trek, and well, and you don't have to prove your nerd cred. You just say, this is what I like about Star Trek and how it defines me as a person. Don't just show all the Star Trek stuff you have on your walls, because that just means you have money that you spent on Star Trek.
Right.
Like, talk about how it relates to you as a person. I think that everything that I wrote about, everything that I talked about in my video related to how I am as a person, and that's really what puts you over the top.
Yeah. That's awesome advice. It really is.
And I don't know if you remember from our talk earlier, I have news for you. We finished the second trimester of 6th grade. Bella got all A's in social studies.
Huzzah!
Nice.
Hope she has an awesome social studies teacher, because like middle school, I get worried sometimes with my 9th graders, and like some of my 9th graders went to really good schools and don't have a good social studies background at all. So I hope she's enjoying herself and getting good grades. Cause
she pulled that one up really well. It's been interesting. But they do have a good social studies teacher. He even has T-shirts. He's very high energy, but he has a T-shirt with a whole bunch of historical figures and himself, and they all have party hats on, and it's history. Mr. Zaret's history party.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely.
I don't think I could go in with a bunch of T-shirts with a bunch of high schoolers without being like laughed at. But that's.
Well, this is 6th grade.
You can get away with that in 6th grade.
Yeah.
So, but
a bunch of like my sophomores, they'll be like, "Mr. B, you've lost the plot, man."
Aww.
But if it gets their attention and keeps it, and they remember the stuff.
Oh yeah, really. Like that's all there is to it, because history is just, well, you told stories, and the idea that if you have a situation where you just look at historical actors as people first, and people have somewhat similar goals, and you're able to relate that to how individuals are supposed to react. It doesn't matter what historical figure you're talking about. Well, you can relay that to other people and have them understand this story and how it relates to like the world at large and to themselves. Like, it's a great thing. And yeah, it's like sitting there like today, it's like, well, we were talking about, Adam Smith and like the Wealth of Nations, like the Invisible Hand and whatnot. It's just like, yeah, like the Invisible Hand, like what happens there? Well, nobody has to tell you, like, really most economic decisions you make in life. Like, you see 2 TVs, they're of equal quality. One costs $50 less than the other. Nobody needs to tell you to go buy the one that costs $50 less. And just like, I can explain it just using, hey, that's how it works. That's how I just explained the Invisible Hand using one example. I can do this all day. So, yeah, and I have fun when I'm doing it. So it's good that I have a counterpart in your child's 6th grade class.
Yes. He's awesome. I wish you could just have him every year. That would be cool. But
I wish I had you as a history teacher, Colby. You seem like a great teacher.
I mean, I try, but I guess the thing is, I love history, and mostly, I guess, above all, it's not just history, because, I know a lot of, other information, but, like, the idea that you live in the information age, you live in the digital age, where pretty much anything that you want to find out about, you can find out about, in, just a few ways of searching. So, I remember this, and I'm a big fan of the Premier League, and my team is Everton. And so I found this, this scanned tech program. So it's the idea that, you get to the later stages of the Industrial Revolution, working hours get better, people have more free time, so it's like, hey, so I found a guide to Everton playing some other team on some Saturday, and, the idea is that, okay, now that means you have 2 hours on a Saturday to go watch soccer, and you spend money and you all get together. Like, this hadn't been seen before. So I used that to illustrate, and then somebody asked me, hey, who won that game? And sure enough, I go on Wikipedia and I found out that, who won that game in 1890 in like 45 seconds. It's like, wow. This is amazing.
Yeah, I know that I had messaged you and asked you about Oak Island, and you said you had to go Google it, which was, but that's the great thing about Google and the internet now, is like you really can just go look up whatever you want and learn about it, like treasure hunting stuff or whatever. It's all out there. It's whatever you want.
And the idea is to make sure that you are curious about the world. That the world is bigger than your neighborhood and bigger than your block. And that was really something that I really wanted to instill in my students, is that the world happens all around you and you can be a part of it, and that's the most important thing. So in the idea of social studies, well, I'm glad you know these historical events, but I really want you, overall, the skills that I want you to learn is how to take information, use it to make a point, be accurate, and be passionate about that learning, and no matter what it is that you do. So,
that's
all
awesome.
Right.
Life lessons with Colby.
Yeah, because I'm the old guy on the show. I got plenty. I got all these life lessons to talk about.
Hey, if you're under 30, that gives us older ones even hope, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, keep it up. Who knows what will happen next season? If it's not All Stars, I'd be glad to cheer on someone who has a 3 in front of their age, because I was the first. I'm the only one, as a matter of fact. So.
Like a viewer's favorite or something.
Is it what?
A viewer's favorite? The viewers get to vote back? The ones that want us?
I didn't think so.
I can't think of what they call it. Some of the other shows, I can't think what they're called, but.
Oh.
Sorry, I have cats that are trying to attack each other and stuff.
Oh, cats trying to attack each other, so they're being cats.
Yes. Yep. All 3 of them are in here. One jumped up on my lap at one point after they were hissing at each other under my chair, and Yoda is doing.
Yes. You can't see them fighting, although that would be really cute to see little paws of fury on the bottom of the screen going back and forth.
She did try to bite me already, so I'm kind of like the old one's on my lap.
Yeah.
Beastie. My beasties.
My beasties, yeah. We both have the crazy Catwoman starter kit.
No. I did not go with me.
I have 2 cats and a chinchilla. I have the crazy Catwoman starter kit.
That is, I do admit, like, Crazy Cat Lady may be one of my favorite minor Simpsons characters. And Lisa's like doing an interview, like, some people just might think, like, this person who lives here is just a crazy old cat lady. But I think, and then she bursts out of the house and throws her cats at Lisa, like.
Right. So. Save my babies! Save them! That makes me think of Mr. Deeds with the cats. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, I think of mine as my early detection system, because if there's any storm, I wouldn't be able to find them. So I would know to take cover, and if anyone ever broke in the house, I would just throw one of them at them, and they would take them out for me. So,
Oh, man. Well, it is almost 9:30. Wow, we talked for a long time.
Maybe.
Did anybody have any last-minute questions for Colby tonight?
Let me look, see if we missed anything.
Give you guys a couple minutes to type it all in. Maybe no.
Okay.
Colby, do you have any questions for us?
I mean,
urban asset.
No, that's fine. No, I can't think of any off the top of my head. You guys are so gracious and so open that I can't think of anything that I would ask you right now. So,
aw, that's so sweet.
Like I said, you guys always. I'm glad that you guys keep this up. And that you guys were drawn together by our show, and that you started a community that talks about all sorts of fun and nerdy things. So, I don't have any questions for you. I just like to comment that you guys are awesome, And, just to make sure that you guys know that and know that I, back you guys 100, percent. So you guys are awesome.
Aw, thank you so very much for that. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to go head over to 4chan and see what they're talking about.
Send me that list with stuff that you do like, because I will send you.
So, like, what do you have that you don't want? Like,
she has a list.
No, I have boxes. I have, let's see, Breaking Bad. I've got gaming stuff. I've got posters. I've got stuff. We should just do some giveaways. I have books. I just got this today. It's a Harley Quinn. Oh my gosh, it's supposed to be Mr. J's April Fool's kit.
Oh, it's cute.
The Joker, it's from Nerd Block. It has ice cubes with bugs in it. It's supposed to be the Freeze's ice babies, put in people's drinks. And then the other one thing in here is a Harley Quinn whoopee cushion. I have
cushion.
Okay, I have
that.
I can't sign up for stuff like this. Like, buddy, it's not 1920. Like, we understand that people fart, and simulating that noise isn't funny anymore.
Oh.
Whoopee cushions are always funny. Whoopee cushions will always be funny. Always.
Sixth graders, and you can hear it throughout the whole day, over and over again, as they do dueling fart sounds.
Okay. Well, maybe I like to believe that I have a evolved sense of humor. At least I try to believe that. Mostly because I hear so many, like, I work with young people, so I hear like all sorts of so many puns and so many
Oh, you like puns?
I do not, but it's just like, seriously, I just remember we're talking about Australia, and it's just like, why do koala bears why do koala bears always stay with one mate? Because they keep spending quality time together. I'm like, buddy, that was your joke. That was your joke, mate. But you're 14, so I can't really get mad. But it is what it is.
Right. Work on your joke skills, people.
Yeah, don't just take the easy way out.
The shocking book of the week last week that I had a kid come and take a test in the library, The Day My Butt Went Psycho. And it's part of a series.
Okay. How do you follow that up?
I'm like, what you reading? He's trying to pull up the test. I had to help him pull up the test for accelerated reader tests because we do, in elementary school, we do a rewards program on that. And he's like, this one, because we're waiting to make sure you can log in. And I'm like, let me see.
Okay.
All right. Every other word pretty much is butt. And they talk about butt hunters. And you have to be careful when you go to kiss the butt because sometimes they pucker up.
Okay.
This is real. Somebody published this. Somebody paid.
This is a series. That's just the first book. I will say this did not come from my library. I said, where'd you get it? Oh, my mom bought it for me. And I look, and it has Scholastic right on the bottom of it. I was like, yeah, The Day My Butt Went Psycho, and then the second one I think is either the second or third one. One is Butt War, and the other one is called Alien Butts from Uranus, something like that. Just like
I have to go look that up now.
Yes, go look it up.
Sounds like the intro. This sounds like the intro to Idiocracy. You know what? Just we had a book, and then it was about bodily functions, and then it just becomes about the book. Just give it enough time.
Is it the sequel to Everybody Poops?
Yeah, there you go. Everybody Poops. I can appreciate good fart jokes, burp jokes, Shrek, whatever. I am fine with that, but I was reading this, and I was like, what?
That's crazy.
So the whole rest of the day, my mind would just go,
As well it should.
And I'm all for stuff that will get kids to read. And I still was looking at this thinking, and I guess the author is actually from Australia. And the original name is The Day My Bum Went Psycho. And, it's a bum, but I don't know if it just takes some of the edge off of it, but
I'm glad they doctored it for American audiences just to make sure they're still on board.
yes, yeah, it's just great. So there's your task. I want you to don't read the book, just glance in it and look at like one paragraph.
All right.
That's about all your brain will handle.
His
All right.
faces make it. I don't even know what he's reading, but his faces are the greatest. I know he's just yawning.
Yeah, sorry. Like it's been a bit of a long day.
It's late, We get up early.
Yeah, as do I, but yeah, it's good. Like I don't have any work to do over the weekend, so it's good. It's good coasting into Saturday. So I'm glad that you guys invited me.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you could come. Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate you coming and telling us about your experience at Nirvana and how things were like, and helping us out on some advice to get on the show for next season, because that's always helpful. We really want to see it go longer. Or at least I do.
Yeah, I just think that what we brought this season, and if that's not good enough, then I don't know what else they can do, because I think we had a pretty excellent cast, all things considered, despite the whole Secret Six kind of doing what it does, but people play the game to win, and you know what, you wanted $100,000, well, you play the game to get $100,000.
No.
So.
Well, technically, it's only, 72?
I said 72 grand. I am glad that quote made. They said it's just like, oh yeah, when Caitlin said, oh yeah, which I'm told is, should come to about 72 grand. You know who had that conversation with Caitlin? Who gave you that exact number? A guy who won $100,000 in California. So.
Right. And paid taxes.
Yeah, it's like that's a thing. Just get accustomed to that.
Yeah.
Well, they just round down to half right off the bat on anything that's a bonus.
Right. Any part of that I would be happy with.
It's just like, yep, it's good. He's like, it's gonna take you about 72. So I know what I paid. And I know they haven't made any real significant changes. So there you go.
Oh my goodness. Silly boy, you're a silly boy. Silliness is fun.
Eve, since you're monitoring the chat, are there any more questions?
Only if you got a good joke.
Uh-oh.
It got a little, let's just say my book topic kind of took it a little off task. Just a tad.
Well, again, thank you, Colby, for joining us. Since it is 9:30, I guess we've been on for an hour now, so I guess we will sign off since we got a late start. I really appreciate you coming on, Colby, tonight. Thank you so much. And we always love having you. You're more than welcome to come on every Friday if you want to. So.
And one day I will beat you in trivia.
Yeah, we should do trivia night one night with Colby.
I'm all for that.
Maybe
I don't know the logistics they're in, but I'd be happy to show off. Just don't make it any horror, because
we'll bring Jacob and we'll do some non-alcoholic version of Colby Wood Squares.
That is an excellent idea. Excellent idea.
I will have to plan that with him then. So.
And like I said, he writes pretty good trivia. So he gets the Jeopardy winner seal of approval. Nice.
Maybe he can take over for Alec Trebek when he eventually retires.
Yeah. I mean, that's 2018. That seems so far in the future.
Is he retiring in 2018? Is that what he said?
Well, he was up, so his contract was up at the end of this year or next year, so 2016. And then he signed another extension for another 2. So I guess he'll do it until he gets tired of it, because. Yeah. So
That's a long time to be doing Jeopardy. Very long time.
35. He'll be on almost 35 years if he sticks it out to the end.
Ruins it for anyone else.
Yeah.
There will be another host.
I feel
But
really
I
old.
do. I guess the thing is, that's, they asked me. It's like, well, the show might, does the show drift apart without Alex? It's like, I don't think so. As integral as he's been to the show, I think that it's such a well written premise, and it's so well known, and that the audience can always participate. So that I think it could go on without him. So I hope it does.
Nice.
Mustache or no mustache?
Well, I will say that I'm actually, more of a fan of the non-mustache, mostly because I'm sort of jealous because I can't grow facial hair that looks good. I have never gone since I was 15. I have never gone more than 4 days without shaving, like in my life. Like that is just so ingrained because otherwise I look like a complete patchy mess. And kids say, "Why don't you just try to grow a beard over the summer?" It's like because it's hot. And I would have to keep it up. It's just like it's really easy to go from like a bit of stubble to clean shaven, then try to maintain a beard or a good mustache. So,
Yeah.
and and also that was the thing because I look relatively young for my age, and they say, well, yeah, like you look like you're 20. It's just like, you know what? What if I grew facial hair? Then I would stop looking like I'm 20. Then I would look like an 18-year-old trying to look like a 21-year-old. Like that's what would happen if I tried to grow facial hair.
Yeah, my husband doesn't grow facial hair either, so he feels your pain, he says.
Just like that's just bad for everybody. So it's like it's just really easy to just every day or two just go ahead and file back down, go back down to 0. So yeah, like I started growing sideburns, so like that's about it. That's as complex as my facial hair is ever going to be. Started wearing sideburns when I was in college, and that was it.
Just remember, most girls don't like to kiss the stubble because it actually is itchy. So
yeah,
I'll be better off keeping the baby face.
Yeah.
All right. Worked out for me so far, I guess.
You have baby face approved here from these two.
Yeah. So.
We might have to have dating with Colby next week. Sounds like.
Wait, a what?
But you're like, well, it's worked for me so far.
Well, hey, like I can't complain.
Nice. All right, that went off on a tangent.
All right. Turn off for real this time or what?
Dun, 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 dun. And I think we're done for the evening.
I just can't let go. I'm sorry. Don't, Colby.
We just don't want to let go of Colby.
I do need to take a break. Like I've got my heat on, and it's like it's that weird part of Chicago where it's like 45 degrees.
Nice.
The same mission, Detroit is only 32 or so. Can't be.
Oh yeah, that's right, Detroit.
Yeah, that's right. Detroit.
Oh yeah, so yeah, it's colder. It's colder like the further east you go. Like the more winter is set in. So like everyone like snowed in Philly. It was just like okay.
Yeah.
Well, like,
today was officially the first day of spring too.
Wait, what?
Today's the first day of spring.
Yeah. So I'll take that.
Yeah.
I learned to quick. I've lived in Chicago pretty much my whole life, so I don't have any. I can't complain about the weather anymore. Like this is the life you chose.
Yeah. Well, you guys get lake effect too. See, I'm on the other side. The west side of Michigan gets hit with that stuff. I mean, last winter was nuts, but this winter wasn't as this year we had a lot of snow days, more cold days. I think we canceled 5 days of school this year. Last year it was 12.
Yeah, that was the thing that I also needed to get used to. It's just like we just had cold days. It's like, and at the school, I'm like, you know what? We just got our stuff together and we went out in the cold no matter what. It's like you guys are pansies, and then I walk outside. It's like, nope, this is the correct decision. I agree with you wholeheartedly from this point forward.
Yeah, you guys are both gonna hate me when I tell you it was 85 here today.
Oh yeah, you know what? We'll laugh at you when it's actually summer.
I live in Texas. It's always summer. It's
Yeah, and
constant
you're
summer.
gonna die. No, it gets like, well, where in Texas?
Yeah.
It's down in like near Houston, like that place turns into a swamp.
Yeah. Well, no, Houston's built on a swamp. Yeah, completely.
Yeah,
And
so
that's where
like,
I am. So it sucks.
yeah, like Houston summer is just no.
No. Yeah.
I would rather deal with the Chicago winter than a Houston summer any day.
Yeah, 110 heat, all humidity, and you go outside and you're sticky instantly. Yeah, not fun. No.
Yeah, like I get it.
And now we know why Alice stays inside 24/7. Except for when I actually go treasure hunting, which is actually fun. So, but that's a whole different story. But we should really go off air soon.
I'm sorry. I don't think so.
No, it's fine. It's fine. So, like I said, I'll be here all night, and I'll just be moseying on down to another room of fans and such. So, but it's always nice with you guys because you guys are so open and so passionate about nerddom and about the show. So, like, I'm always happy to be invited.
We're very much about being true to yourself here, definitely, and we want to get to know you more than anything.
Yeah.
I feel like I really could get to know you on the show this season. Like, I don't feel like I got to know any of the nerds like we did in the last 2 seasons because they didn't show you converse as much, I guess.
Yeah.
That is true, and there was. I mean, I guess there were some nice elements, but sometimes it's just gonna come across as boring for the viewer. So.
Yeah.
You know what? Being super into something, like, well, having a chat about something you're super into, maybe the rest of the audience can't really follow. Like me, I wasn't really into anything that most people were into, so it's just like I get to talk about, me and talk about situations.
Yeah.
And
I would have sat there and talked history with you.
I think about how Curtis looked at it. It's like, when we needed that go-to person to tell us about what was going on, like, that's when we went to Colby, and he gives these awesome confessionals. And like I didn't know that, referencing myself as, a beast from Arthurian myth would, yes, I call it, like, the idea of calling myself the questing beast and referring to myself in the third person. And like, oh yeah, like this is gold. Like, okay.
I have to say that your confessional for the rap was the best one about you being Scottish. Yeah, I was completely on the floor laughing when you said that. I was like, I had to rewind it and listen to it again because I didn't believe that you actually had said that at first. I was like, okay, that was awesome.
Yeah, like nobody saw that coming, and it's just like I'm deadpan after years of working with high school kids. It's still at a premium. So
that was awesome. You did have some great confessionals. You really did. And we love those, so thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah, and like, I guess when you're surrounded, when you're in a situation that's I guess in itself reaches points of absurdity, you just have to throw that absurdity right back at the audience, and I think that's very much a defense mechanism that I have, and I'm glad that it was able to be seen on display the way it was. It's just like.
Yeah.
Of course, he's like, can you rap? Of course I can rap in Scottish. So, just like, you guys didn't see that coming, did you? Or the, the quotes from the Wire, like, that was good. I had fun with that. But I guess, in moments of extreme duress, like, what I was under, it's just like, well, okay, I'm going to try to find, some light in this so that I'm having an okay time.
Yeah.
You're just not the crying type. That's all. You went for the comedy. That's the best.
That is true. Lily did enough crying for everybody.
I will agree with you there. I can't watch people cry on TV. It just like I don't know. It like hurts my brain or something to watch somebody on TV cry and you can't console them because I feel like I'm like helpless. I just want to mom everybody. I don't know why. It's just weird.
No, I mean, I completely get it. It's just like...
Yeah, it's like when they kind of alienated you and you were sitting on the couch, I was like, I would have been right there, been like, why don't you just shut up and leave him alone and let him do his own thing, He's allowed to do his own thing.
They didn't know any better. So that's just what was going to happen.
I know.
So
I just want to protect everybody.
that's
Just how
good. I could have used some protection in that house.
Right. They need a house mom. That's what I was telling Eve.
Hello.
They need a house mom, like for each team, like somebody to go in there and be like, you know, for advice, or if you were having a problem with somebody, you know, someone neutral to talk to. I thought that would be cool.
Nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could appreciate that. So.
And I'll spend a real more time on that.
I know last season we saw like Nicole become the house mom. Like,
I would say house mom, more like the babysitter of Zach. That's how she came.
She did take kind of like the mom role with that, and I really liked how she did that. But I was like, well, maybe they'll take that and run with it and have like older nerds come back to like supervise or something. I don't know, but I thought it would be cool. Like house mom would kind of be interesting.
Yeah, me being 30 and having like 3 people in the house that were 21, so it's just like, okay, this is a thing.
Yeah. I think with all the alcohol, I think it might be necessary to have somebody there to moderate.
Might hold it right here.
I was sober the entire time, so it's just like, okay. So this is what people do. This is what happens when you take a bunch of nerds and have them drink, and like you believe that everything is cooler when you're drunk. It's just like, nah, not really.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not much of a drinker either, so I feel you there. I would have been sober in Nerdvana the whole time. Why do you guys have to get that drunk? What's the point?
Yeah, I think I was just very, very conscious of my, image. It's just like, I need to go back and go work at a school full of, I need to go back in a school full of, teenagers. So, yeah, like I can't go off and act a fool. At this point in my life, so.
And you don't want to be like those that comes out that the teachers at Post or Playboy or whatever. Or
right.
Oh, because they will find you and it will get out. There are no secrets, and like secrets don't work in that kind of work environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm surprised that the Secret Six lasted as long as it did without something breaking, but and then when Caitlyn found out, that was just, she took that really well. She really did. Like I would have flipped out as soon as I had heard out there was like they were all plotting the entire time against us and everything else. I would have flipped out. It would have been a bigger blowout than Todd and Lily, yelling at somebody for doing that, but oh well. I wasn't there at that time to see it all go down, I guess. But you all took it pretty well when, I guess, she told you guys were all sitting there when she told you all they did that, right?
Wait, so hold up, so sorry, like my mind's been drifting.
Sorry.
So told us to do what exactly? I'm sorry.
In the finale, when you guys were talking to Caitlyn on the couch, and she revealed like the Secret Six to you guys, like the way y'all handled that was awesome. Like, because I would have totally like flipped out and gone off on Ben and Jonathan or something for it, But you guys took it really well.
I think we knew that just flipping out wouldn't get us anywhere. Like we're out of the game. There's not a whole lot that we're not there's nothing that we can do about it. And I didn't flip out. It's just like, what? I knew everybody was coming at me. I just didn't know how organized it was. So it didn't really change how I felt about that group as a whole.
Yeah.
Whether or not a Secret Six existed. So you know what? Like I said, they were able to throw the entire team at me. Both sides working together to come at me. Whether that would have happened, whether there were a Secret Six or not. But that's it. So they stood in control of the game, and then when when all was left standing, the only thing that got in their way was me beating Heather, and so really, and even if I'd beaten Amanda, then it would have been 4 against 2 going into the individual game, and then if Caitlin or I hadn't won that individual immunity, we probably would have fought. We probably would have wound up facing off against each other, and they would have just stuck together. So, and I think that you had dominant players, and Ben and Jonathan, and you had the tag-alongs, and that's just how it worked out. And people were content with being tag-alongs. So.
Yeah. But did you get to bring anything home from Nerdvana?
I mean, there were a few items that you were allowed to take, but I was so kind of overwhelmed by at the end that it's just like, well, I'm not going to sit by and, grab memorabilia. I'm all about experiences rather than stuff. And I'm not going to forget, the important aspects of this experience and people that I've met and the things that I've done. So,
did you grab the Indy hat at least?
Wait, what?
The Indiana Jones hat and whip?
No, I wasn't allowed to. I wasn't allowed to keep that. So.
Aww.
Go to Kakahui.
So, I mean, I wasn't able to keep that. That was a lot of the clothing; those get taken away from you. So, even the specific costumes that you had to wear going into a nerd off, well, you don't get to keep those anyway. They've got to ship those back. So.
Yeah. But it's a hat.
Yeah.
You said, here's my $250 coupon. Give me the hat and the whip. We're even.
Right. I totally forgot about that challenge. That challenge was awesome. You totally rocked that. But yeah, the times were really close on a couple of those. Like, you were right when we talked last time about that. I went back and rewatched it about the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And how close a couple of them were to each other. That was really close in dates. I could see
the first four were really easy because they were all in one specific century, and then it showed when it had Tesla and Curie, and it's just they're active at the same time, and they're pretty well known for their research at about the same time. So I just need to hope that, it works out. Because in order of birth date, did this person do this in their 30s or their 40s or their 50s? And just, the beginning were really easy. So, of the 10, the first 4 were easy, the last 2, and then, those 4 in the middle, you just had to hope that it worked out. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, close, really close on those. Thought they could have spaced them out a little bit better. But they wanted to give you a challenge, and I understand that. And they did that. They did, but you just smoked it. I was so happy when you buzzed in and you were right. I was screaming.
Well, I guess the kind of thing that got me is I kind of wish that alliance could have split apart because I think I would have taken out anybody there. And it's just they put up Ori, and it's just well, you're a sacrificial lamb. This is a history-based challenge, and you went up against the frickin' history teacher. So sorry.
Yeah. Ori played a great game. He really did. I mean, he went out like a boss. So.
Yeah.
There was no beating you, Colby. There was just no beating you.
Yeah, and I think, he went into it, knowing that, he very much was, you lie in the bed that you make. And, he was okay with that. He was okay with being put in that situation. He said, well, I messed up. They're going to come at me. So, I mean, he votes himself in knowing that his vote didn't matter. Because, I looked at Ori and said, if we mess up again, it's going to be you versus me. I just knew that was going to happen. So.
Yeah.
I do have a couple last-minute questions that came in.
Okay.
Let's see. Who was your least favorite person in the house and why?
Ooh. How about this? I'll give both of you 2 guesses. I'll give both of you 3 guesses, and the first 2 don't count.
I think I already know the answer to this question.
I think you both know. I think it's fairly obvious.
Yeah.
So,
does it start with a B?
See, Ben's up there, but I think Ben's up there, but I think I dislike Jonathan more because you know what? Ben was on a good team, so Ben just kept winning. And I can't fault Ben for keeping winning and staying with the plan because he was a dominant player. I don't really hang out with the guy personally. It's not someone I did, it's not someone I talk to extensively at all. But I guess the idea that Jonathan was able to puppet master the game so much and weasel out of everything, because you would think that, if you look at threats, that Jonathan and I would have been the logical choices as threats on that team, and we never faced off against each other.
Yeah, I was really hoping to see that face off between you and him instead of Heather, and I had even written it down that it was going to be, I knew it was going to be
All right,
you and
I'm going in.
Jonathan.
We shake hands on it. It's like, well, I'm not going to sit here in politics because I know that either they're going to put me in or the other team's going to put me in.
Yeah.
And,
Well, he put himself up for it, he said.
Yeah.
And he did. So.
Yeah. Just like, man, I'll come across as such a coward. Just like, no, like, I found a way to get other people to go and do my dirty work for me. And yeah, when the game switched from we're advancing together versus we need to get out Colby, and that was the primary strategy, and he was the central originator of that. It's like, somebody needs to take out Colby. This person is never going to be me. So I think it's just it's so Weasley. And granted, the guy won. I don't think I would like him anymore had he been one or somebody taken him out in the individual game. Like, I just think that's a real sleazy way of going about doing it. And yeah, I hope you choke on the 72 grand, bro.
Yeah. I'm with you, and I thought he weaseled out of a whole bunch of stuff. I'm with you there on that one completely. And that Heather taking it for the team was a big shock with me, and
it makes no sense logically.
No, it didn't. It really didn't.
He was like, oh yeah, you know what? Like, I need to prove myself to Jonathan. What has Jonathan ever done for you, Heather?
Right. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. You're here to play the game. Let him take the ball.
What happens? Like, if you send Jonathan at me, worst case scenario, I come back and we lose again, and then I have to go at one of you, which is probably what, like, I think what would happen is if, I think in the worst case scenario, the way that this plays out is that either I go at Jonathan, either Jonathan defeats me, congratulations, job done, or I beat him, and then we probably lose the next Nerd War anyway, and then you send Amanda at me, and then I lose again. So either way, you get to go to the end.
Yeah.
And it goes poorly. And I don't understand why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Another question was, what were you allowed to bring in to Nirvana with you?
You were basically like the clothes on your back. Like, you weren't allowed any electronics. You weren't allowed any books. Even the clothes that you had were screened. So, like, I brought in. So they basically said, oh, you might be able to bring in something that is trademarked or something that belongs to a band or something if we clear it. And, they were on such a tight schedule, they weren't able to clear anything at all. And, yeah, I brought in a bunch of, pretty much standard, like, solid color and striped, like, shirts and, like, a bunch of plaid shorts, because that's how I roll, because those are super comfortable. And yeah, like, pretty much what you were allowed to bring were the clothes on your back and toiletries. You surrendered any any potential contact with the outside world when you got into Nerdvana.
Wow. Take your phone, take your laptop, take everything from you.
Yeah, like, you could bring it with you, but as soon as they found out you were on the show, they sent somebody around to come take it away.
Yeah.
So, I called my mom. It's like, hey, Mom, I'm on the show. You won't hear from me for, somewhere between, like, 2 days and 2 weeks.
Right.
Yes, that's not that bad. I thought it was going to be longer. And
It was a month. Yeah.
My kids were not willing to go that long without hearing from me, so that's why things did not happen.
That's it. It's over in 2 weeks, and I understand, like, and Amanda was also very much in that boat because she has, young ones herself. And it's just like, yeah, like, I'm not able to contact my family until this is over, until I'm off the show. So,
yeah.
But 2 weeks I could get through.
Yeah, 2 weeks I could do. Yeah.
I would hope 2 weeks that they could be distracted enough.
Right. We always like to discuss what would happen to us if we got on the show, and especially if we got on the show together. You know, all the sneaky things we would do. So, but that's our fun, right, Eve?
Yes.
Yeah, and Zach likes to do it too. So.
So if only, I mean, we've had Canadians on the show before, and they've done all right.
The last one. I mean, that opens it up for another, Canadian winner, hopefully. So.
But yeah, I just say you fill out that, if it comes around season 4, they don't do an all-star show, they want new blood, and that'd be great. I say just go out there, be yourself, and hope for the best. So.
Yeah. That's all you can do. Yeah.
Exactly. And if not, there are other shows that are in a vein that just keep trying out. So
yeah,
lucked out with this. And yeah, just think about what makes you not just what makes you nerdy, but how has your nerddom changed your life, and that's what people will gravitate towards.
Let's see. Enjoy.
Do you have anything to say, Eve, before we wrap it up?
Nope. I'm trying to be good about not bringing up new stuff, so.
The only thing I saw this week that was awesome was the Pixels trailer. Colby, did you see that?
Comic-Con.
Like aliens invade because they think our. I haven't seen the trailer, but I know that's definitely a movie, and I don't see a lot of films in theaters, but that seems like something that should be definitely on my radar.
Yeah, I probably won't go see it in the theater, but I'll definitely want to watch it when it comes out on like DVD or something, because it looks hilarious. It really does.
Yeah, so I'm just watching a lot of the stuff with the Con Man.
Oh yeah, the Con Man stuff. I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah, my support and all that, sending that stuff in, and then they keep upgrading stuff, and pretty sweet, man.
Yeah, they announced Nathan Fillion for my Dallas Comic-Con in May again, and I about fainted.
I might have to come to yours instead of you coming to mine, because
I've already gotten to meet him once, so now I'm just like all excited because I get to see him again. So.
Yeah, I mean, he's great.
That's what we should plan. Skip mine, and I'll come to yours.
Right, you should skip yours and come to mine. That you should. Originally, Colby, we had planned it where I was going to come up and see Eve in May, the week before my convention, my home convention, which is her home convention in Detroit, and then I was going to come back and do mine. But now she's going to have to come down here and visit me because Nathan Fillion's going to be here.
Yeah, you have to be our guest. I have to go to that one.
Right.
Very well, yeah, I'm looking at the lineup, so not to mention Morena Baccarin and Alan Tudyk, so I guess if you like Firefly, you get your fill.
Yeah. They had the whole, almost the whole cast there last time, and it was awesome. But the lines were insane. I stood in line for 4 hours to talk to Nathan Fillion for all of 90 seconds. So.
Yeah, I still think that's a wise choice. So.
Yeah. If he's not coming up here at all, then.
Right. Firefly was amazing. It actually has a huge, huge following that will never go away. Obviously now, because it's been this is the 11th year now, and
this Con Man.
Yeah, Nathan can just do no wrong, in our eyes, I guess. So I don't know. Well, at least that's how I think of it. I really like Castle and everything that he's done. It's all been good. So keep up the good work, Nathan. We really love it. So, Colby, is there anybody celebrity-wise that you just have to meet? Is there one that you just have to meet more than anybody?
See, I guess being around celebrities, oh yeah, it's what are you gonna do today? I'm gonna go hang out at Curtis Armstrong's house. It's all right, that's cool. I'm definitely and I like to believe hey, I'm an E-grade celebrity, so I'm not gonna be overwhelmed by anybody that I'm going to see. So it's look, they're all people. Right. Curtis is a normal person. I've seen a bunch of his movies. It's and hanging out with Curtis and Bobby and their wives, and it's just oh, they're all a bunch of normal people, and Pom Pom Kitty's boyfriend is Randy Couture. And, like, my friend, who, like, the guy, you know, that I hung out with in L.A. and brought him to the party, is just like, yeah, you know, I'm in MMA, but I don't really feel the need to go talk to Randy Couture right now. It's like, all right then. Well, he's just a dude.
Nice.
So there are all these famous people that I've come across. It's just like, yeah, celebrity is kind of fleeting, and I don't really. When you start looking at these, like, these are just normal people who are really good at what they do, are really passionate about what they do, just like everybody else.
Right. They're normal people. They just have a cooler job than we do. That's how I think of it. You know.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And, you know, someone like Curtis could have been an excellent teacher, or maybe I could have been an excellent actor had, you know, circumstances changed.
Right. You never know how life will take you. So.
Exactly. So, like, I've never felt like, oh yeah, I really want to see this guy. You know, I can't imagine like, oh, I need to go have a conversation with this guy. So.
There's certain people that I would actually like die to like talk to, and most of those people are dead now, unfortunately. But like Houdini, I wouldn't give anything to talk to Harry Houdini, you know. But that's
just kind of this aura of just like, you know,
right.
and like, you know, someone like, I can imagine someone like Houdini, but it's just like, oh yeah, you're on this TV show, that's great. I was also on a TV show. I was on 2 TV shows, as a matter of fact. So. I guess that's the way I feel about, you know, this whole thing now.
Well, I'm glad you tried out and that we got to know you better, and that's awesome. Thank you for that. We really appreciate that. We appreciate all the nerds who try out and get casted and get to see part of your lives and get to know you a little bit better. We really appreciate that. So to know that there are people like us out there with similar interests is amazing. So. Because trust me, when I was younger, we didn't have the internet, and I think Colby remembers that too.
Well, I would say like the internet became like a regular thing when I was like 12, 13 years old. So it's like I'm like on that cusp. Like, yeah, I remember it's like, all right, you saw this, you know, like being 10 years old, like in 5th grade. It's like, all right, you either saw this show or you didn't. You either, you know, were privy to this or you weren't. You had to go read a newspaper to figure out what was going on in the world, and it's just like, man, like, that kind of sucked. Like, I'm kind of glad that you know, the majority of my life has been spent in the information age. So. Yeah.
I don't know. Some days I take it back to the newspaper. Some days, you know, with the internet, but. You know, that's the internet. You either love it or you hate it, and there's places that you can go where you're loved, and you can go to places where you're not, and you know, it's just life. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'd give up the internet now. Now I really have a hard time with like giving up the internet, going back to
it's
strictly
just
posting and stuff.
Such an integral part of one's life now.
Yeah, now it's just everyday life.
Yeah. Just think about, you know, your phone, which, you know, it's a phone. It's a computer that can, you know, it's a fully functional computer that can occasionally call somebody. That's where we're at right now.
Right.
And, you know, that's amazing. I remember talking about like hoaxes and conspiracies. Just like, yeah, you notice people aren't really talking about the Loch Ness Monster because the average person has a camera in their back pocket at all times. You know, little things like that.
Actually, speaking of the Loch Ness Monster, there was just some guy just found like new discovery on the Loch Ness Monster. Yeah,
I'll believe it when I see it.
it was on Google the other day, I swear.
Oh.
But I read all, I mean, I told you I'm really into treasure hunting, so I read up on all the theories on all kinds of stuff and all the sightings and what's going on, and especially like history stuff. It just blows me out of the water. Like ancient civilizations just fascinate me. But you know, you're a history buff, so we all have our favorite time periods, I'm sure.
Oh, of course.
So what's your favorite like time like period so far?
I guess the idea, especially as a teacher, is talking about pretty much World War II to the present. Like, one of my end of the year projects is, so since, you know, we talk about all, you know, we try to cover all the big, super important things in the course of the year, and we can only go into so much detail. One of my favorite projects is to take some tiny country, like, I don't know, Liechtenstein, and like, kid, you're assigned Liechtenstein. Tell me what's going on in Liechtenstein the last like 10 years. And here's the thing: I guarantee you, there's some sort of English, you know, there's some sort of English language newspaper in Liechtenstein. There's some BBC report on Liechtenstein, and you have access to this. Tell me what goes on in this tiny speck of a country that nobody else would care about otherwise.
Right.
But I love talking about the present because kids normally don't get the opportunity to do so. So you hear about the American Revolution and the Civil War, a bajillion times, and then it's just like, you guys can't tell me about, Vietnam. You can't tell me who was the president before Clinton. Like, little things like that we can go into detail about what affects them right now, and that's what I really love teaching, what I really like studying. So, yeah.
That's awesome. See, we're all passionate in different ways. I love that.
That's what being a nerd is about. It's like, Jacob said, it doesn't matter what you're passionate about. Including candles. I don't know why candles was the first name that came out of his mouth, but it was a good soundbite.
Right. So, Eve, what's your favorite time period in history?
Like real time or
like time period? Do you have a favorite time period? I mean,
I guess probably the Renaissance age, I guess I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not the healthiest time to live, but
right.
Yeah. Being like, okay, well, if you look at it, it's just like, well, you're watching the world change around you, and then being in proximity to that sort of genius, which of course that's happening right now, but on the scale that, okay, we are abandoning like feudalism because it's not really working out for anybody, and we are going to focus on commerce and art, and that would be amazing. So, I totally get it.
Yeah. I mean, if we're looking for being comfortable, then I would have to say this time period. It just depends what.
So.
What was going on, I guess.
It's just.
I know a lot of people.
I don't want to go to the 80s again. 70s and 80s and 90s. No, I'm done.
Right. I feel you there.
No more fashion like that or hair like that or.
Oh man, fashion has gotten a whole lot better since the 80s. I will give it that.
Yeah, that is the thing where I'm glad that I'm at a point where it's just like I never feel like working with young people. I never feel like, oh my god, like we totally had it together when I was your age. Just like our music was so much better. It's like no, what music music was really popular when I was your age. Mace and like the Spice Girls and there were things that. And there were things around then when you were younger, like, man, they kind of sucked, and I'm okay with that. And,
and they kind of sucked.
Yeah, it did. It just like there are some things that we were into that were really dumb, and like we try to feel better than young people. Like, yeah, young people like dumb stuff too, and then like, yeah, but we did too.
Yeah.
So, people like young people. What was it? It's like, oh yeah, what was it? You guys do so many stupid things. Yeah, but we did stupid things too. Like, we're just like, I'm just pretty upfront about it. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I remember listening to the Spice Girls. I think I had a Spice Girl poster on my wall at some point.
You look back at it and it's just like, all right, for what it's not good. If you just take it for what it is, it's completely. It's fun.
Yeah, my childhood was awesome, and I wouldn't change that for the world, man. TV was awesome then. Cartoons were awesome then. You just don't get that like you do these days. You just don't. Like G.I. Joe and Transformers. I mean, you just don't. It's not the same.
Right.
You can reference it a million times, but it won't have the nostalgia of when we originally watched it when you were a kid. Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah, like I would just think that, all right, so, so the idea is that, well, the reason why it's not as fun is like, well, we're not little kids, and like when you're a little kid, like your standards aren't that high.
Yeah, it's true. We're not little kids anymore, but we act like it.
That's one of my. Oh yeah, it's like one of my favorite quotes. It's like, it's like be an adult when you have to, be a kid when you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just think of all the cool movies that are coming out that, I'm like geeking out totally over seeing that there actually is another Terminator coming out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean,
Like really? But
I don't know
okay.
about awesome because like the last few have been.
It's not. I don't have to see it because to see it. I'm gonna go see it because it's probably just gonna be pretty darn fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I love action movies. I love action movies.
From the preview,
like
it's
explosions.
she's him and all this. It's kind of changed because things they sent in the past got changed, and the fact that they're showing, a gray-haired, older Terminator. It's like, okay, this is interesting. Let's see how this goes. And I don't know.
Terminator really shouldn't age a few decades.
Right.
That's not how robots work. Cyborgs work.
I agree.
You didn't like how they CGI'd in, young Arnold Schwarzenegger in the last Terminator movie? That was absolutely hilarious to me that they CGI'd him in like that.
Well, it looks like the preview I saw, they show him both ways, and it looks to me like he went back as the younger one or whatever, and then saved the girl from that point, and then now they've been waiting. He's there with her waiting for that next Terminator to show up.
Yeah.
But apparently, Cyborg's age. I don't know why. I guess if he's covered in skin and whatever, I don't know, it ages, but I actually thought it was a fake commercial because they showed it during the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I haven't seen any of it. I just heard that Matt Smith from Doctor Who is in it, so.
That's all you need.
That's all I need, yeah. Oh, Matt Smith's in it. Oh, okay, I'll watch it.
Previews out there, and
it's not like that with everybody, though, I swear.
Well, it seems like it almost seemed like they were remaking the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I just looked at it on like Wikipedia. It's like it'll be a sequel, prequel, and reboot. They're like, all right then.
Yep. So, it should be interesting. To blow stuff up anyway.
Oh man, it is 10:15 here, and I'm gonna have to cut this because I have to go to bed.
All right, no worries. You'll have something next week, and I may or may not be there for that. But like I said, I guess if the invitation's always open, I'll be happy to show up.
Yeah, invitation's always open. Always open.
Send me a list of what you're into, and I will go through my boxes.
Yeah.
All right. I guess I will message you or like, oh yeah. I don't think you can friend me, but I could friend you. So I'm not sure if I've done that yet. Have I?
Well, please do. Please
Oh,
do.
yeah, I have. Okay. So I will DM you things that I'm interested in. I guess what did you get from Breaking Bad? Because like there'll be things I'm into, and I'll look at them and I'll feel like, this is kind of lame.
It's like it's a vinyl figure, Saul Goodman. Oh, guess I'll up higher.
Doesn't really look like so. Just what are you supposed to do with that?
I don't know.
You put it on your shelf, or you. I don't know. It's in my box of stuff that I don't watch or don't want, and if I see somebody I know is into something, I'll send it to them.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have to start doing some giveaways for Nerd Chat.
You know what I'm saying? I've got stuff.
Yeah, well, you and me both, because we both have subscription boxes, so.
Colby wants some stuff, but he doesn't want the crap, so he just has to let us know what he's into.
Yeah.
Well, I'll figure it out. So.
Figure it out, and you let me know.
Yeah.
Will do. I will definitely message you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us again. I know I've said that like 6 times now.
Yeah.
I will keep apologizing for getting you in trouble and keep saying thank you for coming on the show. So.
All right. So, all right. So I guess we'll call it a night. So thank you so much.
I guess we'll call it a night. Yeah.
All right. So bye, everybody.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Bye. So
Bye.
well. Auf Wiedersehen, adieu.
And we will be on next Friday at 8 Central, like we were this week. And hopefully Zach will not have connection issues, and he will be back with us. And thank Colby once again for coming on, and Eve, who's awesome. And yeah, what else to say? What?
Do we want to end this as an unboxing video?
Sure.
Okay, right.
But we should really go, because I really do need to go to bed, unfortunately.
Then we won't end it with an unboxing video.
We'll save that for later.
Okay. Well, I'll just do it separately, and so I can get it out there. But yes, guys, I have Star Trek stuff, but it's mine. Somebody else is asking. Yeah, but there's something going on tomorrow. People keep commenting on it.
I don't know.
Okay.
Everything is like
social
creeping up on me all of a sudden. What is going on?
No, people are here. I'm here.
Okay, it was all like being laggy for a second. I don't know why. That was weird.
Yeah, people are commenting. They've mentioned a couple times.
Oh. I have not been in chat. I'm horrible. I know. But thank you, everybody, for visiting us and watching the show tonight. And we will be back with more guests. And now we have permission to interview all of Season 3 guests. So join our Facebook group, facebook.com/nerdchatcentral. And you can talk to us there, ask questions about the show, or if you want topics brought up for next week's show, or anything nerdy, really. And we will be here.
They're saying the public chat. They got an invite about it.
Oh, yes, the public chat is next Sunday, and I believe that's at 9 Eastern, and everybody is welcome, and we have a very good time. We all sit around and Google Hangout and talk nerdy stuff, so come talk nerdy to us, right?
Definitely. I just typed it on there. I thought it was ready for saying tomorrow, but all right. Well,
no, it's not tomorrow.
We love you guys. Always have more questions for us. Or anything you want us to talk about. You know, or if you want to take bets about how long it'll take for a cat to bite me or something, you know, that's always fun and entertaining.
Right. We had some good questions tonight, yeah, so keep it up, please. Please keep it up.
And Zach, buy a cable, Zach.
Yeah, fix your cable, Zach.